welcome, welcome. I feel like saying welcome one, welcome all, but like I don't know if that's like the coolest thing to say in this setting. But welcome to Canvas. If this is your first time, we have like loads of content already that you should go check out after this. After this, right? But yes, my name is Misa, and welcome to Canvas. Canvas is an event, a virtual event hosted by Shazaya to enable creatives set plans, goals, make informed decisions in this new year. Now, I'm a creative, and to some extent, I'm going to be asking burning. So, not to some extent, really, I'm going to be asking questions that are burning inside me. So, think of me as one of you, and the guests that we're having as having amazing conversations, but I'm also grilling them for like our benefits. Yeah, so that we can make positive change as Christian creatives this year. I know we all have dreams, we all have goals, but like fitness scientists, okay, that's going to be a lie set. Follow who no roots. It's not a scientist code. To get the point. So if you're not Nigerian or if you do not understand preaching, it means um, follow the person that knows the way, right? Ask for directions, basically. Um, and that is what we are doing. Today we have an amazing person in the house, right? Um, Somebody I look up to on top money matters. He probably knows money more than plenty people, more than the majority of people I know in this life, to be honest. It just so happens that we have some sort of a history, and I hope that it doesn't get into this conversation because people will start thinking about me a lot differently than you think of me already. But he's an amazing person. Let me just go up and read his bio, and then you see what I'm talking about. So today we have Godfrey Kelechiku Godfrey, also known as K. He's a millennial banker working at the top financial institution in Nigeria, V. He holds degrees in accountancy and business administration and uses his expertise to advise small and medium-sized entrepreneurs, consult with individuals and investment partners, and teaches personal finance, financial literacy, and business strategy. He's a recipient of the ABIA Under 35 Award in the finance category. You hearing? And is the creator of several online programs and platforms such as Diary of a Church Boy, Money Monday with K, In Case Money Talks. He's also an advocate for youth development, SDGI, and SDG1 rather, SDG1 and SDG8, and an avid volunteer and supporter of the Boy Child campaign. His goal is to improve the financial knowledge and position of the average and next generation of Nigerians, reducing poverty and impacting them one life at a time. So let's welcome on Canvas's virtual stage Godfrey Kelechiku Godfrey, aka K Money. Okay, I need to scrap
You actually made me sound look very old. Again, I'm not old. I'm still in my 20s, fam. I'm still in my 20s.
Welcome, Godfrey. Yeah,
Late
see, like,
20s.
yeah,
Thank you,
like
my
it's okay,
son.
it's okay, it's okay, You're getting old, you're getting old. You just need to be remembering it. Um,
Thank you, my son. My name is Godfrey KG Godfrey. My friends call me K. That's the line.
actually, that's the line. Um,
That's the
so,
line.
so what you guys might not know, there's a bit of a story. So, I would tell you some parts of like the role he has played in my financial journey. So during COVID, right, we had like this discussion, and he hasn't seen the light of day. Maybe I do post it one of these days. And we're talking about money and stuff, and he was telling me a couple of things. And at that time, I just wanted to be an artist, right? I just wanted to be like this creative guy who wanted to make money off his art and
Yo,
stuff
I've
like
I've
that.
never seen that video too. I haven't seen that video.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what was that video like again? It was because I was at work. And I was
Yeah,
just, Mister, I'll call you back. Okay, Mister, give me a second. I'll go pick a call. And I'll call back. I'm like, Mister, give me a second. I'll go pick a call again.
yeah.
Ah,
And it will, hopefully one day it comes out. But basically, I was at this crossroads, right? Um, thinking about like what my financial future is going to be because at that time I really did not have a financial presence, not to talk of a financial
my
future.
future.
Yeah, and so it was amazing having that conversation with him, and it was one of the things that kind of made me less reluctant about getting a 9 to 5, getting some sort of like stable income that can help me pump um, cash flow and everything into like my creative endeavors and make me sort of in a better position now. Not somewhat in a better position, a lot better position now than I am in, um, than I was then. And I know he had done it for a couple of other people that I knew. So it only made sense, right, to have him here. And like as someone who is also knowledgeable about like the financial systems and everything, I feel like if you are very interested in having a holistic view about finances, then this is a conversation and K is your guy. Because yeah, don't worry, the conversation will prove the point well. So let us start like where everything starts in the whole, there's a framework for storytelling. So how did you start with this like money, finances? Like the way I remember you, my core memory of you was very far from money. It was more like hunter or something like that. So how did you get it? How did you get into this?
Okay, okay. So at the part where you talked about me bringing in our history down a bit, memory and all of that. Let's do that. So, um, back in high school, I was a commercial student. My son here was a science student. That's why he's calling Hunter because we'd go and get insects for specimens. Yeah, back in junior secondary, grasshoppers and the rest. He could never tell
Yeah,
anybody that. So that's how I and my son actually bonded. But entering high school, we had to everyone had to pick their choice. We had fine arts, we had commerce and commercial students, we had a science student, and I just went in for to being a commercial student. I met subjects like accounting, I met subjects like commerce. I took economics head on, and funny enough, I had always been the numbers guy, though that it's not like further math numbers, but more like
yeah,
business maths number. You see a couple of figures and you're trying to relate it to money and trying to relate it to growth. Not it's not the X to Y. I wasn't so good at the X to Y, but I was good with just corporate numbers and how to use corporate numbers to make a meaning of something financially. So that was where it all came up from. And then, you know, um, growing up and being a child who was brought up in the financial space. My dad was a banker. I was trying to be bankers in our estates. It was just bankers all through. So you get to see them talk about shares, talk about stock, talk about underperforming banks and all of this. And you just sit and wonder in amazement how men are so intrigued by numbers. I mean, you'll be like 332 comma 115 comma 00 comma dot zero
yeah,
zero, and you'll be like, and you see them arguing about it. I'm like, what are these men arguing about? You're made to argue about football now, argue about politics and all of that. You guys are busy talking about numbers and banks. Like the one you did in the office enough, you bring it home again. And to my amazement, you'd see them open this section like they would buy like three different newspapers and they're looking at just numbers. They're not reading anything else. They're just talking about the numbers, talking about the banks, talking about the portfolio and everything because banks are asked to provide their balance sheets at the end of every month, at the end of every quarter, at the end of every business year. So those were the things they were always looking at. And they were making their judgments, they were making their calls, they are making everything predictions. I won't use the word prediction. They were making their forecasts and speculations. And you're just this 7-year old and you're just looking at them. You're like, what are these men talking about? So when you're done, I'd pick up the papers and I look. There was a time I started bringing newspaper to school. I don't know if you
so
remember. I think that was in
so
just three.
so so what you're also forgetting is that but this is personal history. But anyhow, you're
Okay, don't
forgetting
worry.
that.
Don't worry.
No, no, no,
Okay,
no, 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 no,
sorry.
no. I switched in GS3, like GS3 to SS1.
Oh,
So
okay.
like
So
that's yeah, that whole part
there was
of.
a point I
But
started bringing
I do
newspapers.
remember something like that. It may be a false memory, but I do remember something. I think there was
I will
something like
bring newspaper to class, and I'll just be looking at some sections. I look at them, look at them, look at them, look at them, and I just be like, I need to break this down. So getting into the banking space officially and professionally, I got wind of investments, and I was doing the part of savings, but the part of investment was really hard knocks. I mean, it was hard knocks. I made tons of mistakes. I will not lie. I lost money. I told you about it now. I lost so much money that period. Like my first 4 5 years, I was losing millions on a steady, not thousands. I was losing millions. I would save prudently, and I lose them all up. There were so many fake investments. You don't know which one is which. And the funny thing is, as a young man, you're not even patient to see your investments grow. You just want it in a quarter, in higher 6 months, you need to take your profit. And when you're being told about, invest here and get your returns in like 30 days, 40 days, and you Ponzi schemes, you just want to
yeah,
put your money in. And the first time you get it, you're like, oh my God, it's working. The second time you
yeah,
get it, you're like, ah, and then you take all your money and you put in and it goes. So those were my experiences. I kid you not. I kid you not. And I lost 1.2 to MMM. Then I was still in my late teens. I wasn't even up
yeah.
to 20 then. I lost 1.2 in MMM. I lost
Yeah.
600 to Twinkers. I lost quite an amount. I lost 2.5 in total, and those were savings. My
Wow.
savings. You should check as a back then we had Ponzi schemes
Yeah.
ravaging everywhere. So that actually made me understand that okay, I'm actually one part brave and one part fool. I'm actually one part smart and
Yeah.
one part fool. You're one part smart in saving. You know how to you're very disciplined in bringing out this percentage to actually save. But now the crazy part is the percentage you're investing, you're not doing it rightly. So I had to actually sit myself down and I started investigating Ponzi schemes from the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the ones that happen thank God, the ones that happen in the States, like the Murdoch story. I had to sit down and read every single one of them down to MMM, and I saw the patterns. I saw the techniques. Like it got so bad that I got so knowledgeable in Ponzi schemes that I can
Mhm.
actually create my own, make it last for 2 years, and cash out 10 times more what I invested. No, what is 10 times more? A
What's the
thousand
time?
times more what I put in.
Yeah.
It was that bad. I sat with the friend and told him, if you give me 5 million, this is what I'm going to do with it. And in 6 months, we'll cash out 5 billion. The guy looked at me. He said, how? I broke it down for him A to Z. And he said, men like you shouldn't be allowed to work freely, Yeah, it was that bad. It was really that bad.
Yeah.
So these were things that helped that built me to where I am in particular. I had to start reading about shares, reading about good investments. I think that I was supposed to be doing that would have helped me,
Yeah.
not the other ones. I started making my research. I started asking questions. Like I would ask even the most stupidest question. I
Yeah.
started asking questions. I started calling people who were older than me. Please, could you tell me how you invest your own money? Could you tell me how you go about investing? And they would, give me pointers. They would give me an analysis. They would give me portfolios. They would give me assets, and I would take those things home. Not, I won't jump into them. I would do due
But like you
diligence on them.
study, yeah.
Yeah. So as I am saving, I am not investing directly. I'm actually studying what I should invest in and
And
then
like
make
the
up my mind on
patterns
what
that
to
make
go
up
in.
good
Like,
investments. Yeah.
so that was what I was actually doing. And doing that more broadened my knowledge. It's not like you're doing it and it's going, you're doing it and it's becoming a part of you. So as time went on, whenever I'm with my friends, and the topic is not something I'm interested in, I just switch it up. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about business. Let's talk about investing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about finance. And it got to a point there, like, if you want to discuss money, go and meet K. Like that guy has everything you need. And that was how it came on. Then COVID started. Then there was no one to talk to anymore. So I was like, why don't
Yeah.
you just take it online, do it on Instagram, do it on Facebook, post it, let people read, and you guys can have discussion around it. And that's how, that's I think I tell people COVID did me a very good thing actually. And that's how the brand you're seeing today that's how it came to be actually.
Okay.
That's how
Yeah.
Case Monitor came to be. That's how Money Monday VK came to be. That's how the boardroom came to be. That's how Naira Evolution came to be. So these were things that actually made me get to this part, get to
Yeah.
this point. It wasn't a 1 day ride. It wasn't a 1 week ride. These were months, these were years. Now look at the distance between MMM and COVID.
Yeah.
You see, it's a very wide gap. It's a very wide duration with roughly 2 to 4 years, I think.
Yeah.
You see, it's a very wide
Around
gap.
that.
And all I was doing in that period was just
We're
learning.
just soaking and learning. Yeah.
Was just learning. Was just learning. So
So
it's
there
not
are a
like
couple
I
of
woke
things.
up.
Oh, sorry.
So it's not like I woke up and just got wind of the whole knowledge. No,
Yeah.
there were research, there were studies, there were questions, there were people that mentored me, there were people that groomed me, there were people
Yeah.
that pointed me in the right direction. So all of these things also come into considerations too.
Okay. So interesting thing is that all through like this series, and I'm sure people who have followed us from day one will get to see a couple of threads about like environment, community, how they play a huge part. Now, one thing I would like to point out, and I'm sure that people are already in the comments saying this, so there are a couple of things I can imagine the audience saying. First of all, many creatives are not money people, right? It is,
Yes,
the
I've
art.
noticed.
So for me,
They are
like
more of
this,
passion.
yeah, for me like this, once we start to call figure, my brain is to off. I'm not joking. I'm terrible. I'm terrible with figures. I think I inherited it from my parents, but that might be just an excuse for bad behavior. But honestly, if you start talking about like figures and stuff, my mind blanks. And I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of creatives like that for me. And it's very interesting seeing, and I think this is why your perspective will also be very good. It's that um, while it would be sweet having somebody coming from like creative into money, which you definitely make happen, right? It is more from like we're having you come give us like a top down view from someone who first started with the finances and knowledge of like making money and stuff like that, or making the money you have work for you in like a long term type of way as opposed to like short term cash grabs and things like that. In long term sustainable ways, and then bringing all this knowledge that you have had to come up and work or present your work as a creative. So you're coming up somewhat as like creative second, business or financial analyst first, right? And like it's very fascinating in that sense. So let me ask this question, and it's more of like to give us like a sort of like common ground in this thing is how has your creative journey been, and what has it kind of like taught you? Um,
My creative journey has been tough because it's been tough in a way. I wasn't the creative type. I was, like you said earlier, creatives don't really have that financial prowess, the whole numbers calculation thing. Us on the calculation side, we don't have that much of the whole creative thing because I'm seeing 1 plus 1. I don't know how to make one look so wonderful and so sweet that it
yeah,
becomes something more than one. I'm seeing fact, I'm seeing figure, but creatives know how to pick one word and translate it into so many beautiful things. And like the spoken word, like the poets, like the musicians. That's the creative part. And me going to creativity was very hard. So, like I said earlier, I even had to understudy people. The same thing I did with my finance, I did it with the creative part. I had to ask questions. I had to meet people that I was older than. Please teach me how you did this stuff. And they actually like, oh, it's not hard. I I didn't know how to edit videos.
yeah,
I never knew how to edit videos. I never knew how to, position a camera and actually, talk about to have a session. I didn't know how to like create a Canva. Even till today, I learned something like 3 days ago from Victor Oba. He taught me how to, use Canva and make a Twitter post. And I was like, man, I was like, wow. This is so sweet. It's so cool. Instead of just making the post on Twitter, then screenshotting and bringing it to Canva to actually edit.
Yeah,
So, so there is this learning process everyone needs to take. If this is not your field, you have to actually learn. Like you have to actually put down your head to actually learn. So
yeah.
coming into creativity was Herculean. But I was like, if I could learn finance, I can actually learn creativity
Okay.
too. And
And
I
I
took
think
out time to learn.
creativity. I think we also have to have that mindset, and this is why I'm asking this question: is that creatives as creatives, you also need to have that mindset as to let's learn the finances of creativity, right?
Yes,
And here's why I find out. Here's why I find out. I find out that the people that are making bank, right, as creatives, are not necessarily the most talented,
they
right?
are not.
They are the people that maybe they have teams and structures, and maybe there is
Exactly.
marketing, and then they have structures around them basically that help them optimize their image and their craft in a way that is monetizable, scalable, and repeatable, right? And um as much as tough as it is, coming in from like a finance person entering into the creative space, I think there is also a parallel in creatives, right? Going from being creative to, you know, moving,
Business people.
yeah, into business people. And we need to have that mindset. And it's something I have been, thinking and nurturing in my head, that for us to be successful, for art to move from being a hobby that, drains our resources,
It should
right?
be a job.
It should be maybe job might be, some people might not, and it's fine if you do not want it to be a job, right? But at least you know and have the skills to make it make revenue for you, right? To make your
Okay.
creativity make revenue for you. No, I get, like, there's the reason why I said that, right? um I remember Salem King saying something. He's like, it's not every skill you have that you monetize. So I would explain. No, I understand from that point. There are two sides to it, but there comes a time, and in my creative journey, I have also found to be true that um, sometimes having to have something as a job, right, sucks out some of like the fun creativity you loved with that particular thing, right? And maybe you can talk to us to like finding that balance between being creative and making money. We can have that conversation around that. But there, I feel like as creatives, we have skills that are monetizable, right? But then there are also things that you might want to keep as hobbies, right? In a way to kind of like fan or fuel your creativity. So, for instance, let's say when having monetizing your this thing is becoming like a job and dreary and tiring, like there is something you can go back to, that there's no pressure or anything around, that kind of like refers you for actually using the other skills that you're using in some sort of way. So maybe we can have that conversation on
True,
being
true. Yeah,
creative
very.
and making
Let's have
money.
that. So me, for example, like I said, I like talking about money. And the funny thing is, when I'm having that conversation with someone, they
Yeah,
ask questions. I take note of those questions and I give an answer. That's what I enjoy doing, right? True or false?
yeah,
Now, I take what I have written down and then I create a content around it and I post on social media.
yeah,
Are you seeing that angle?
yeah.
Now, someone reaches out to me and they're like, please, I'd like to talk to you on something. What's your price fee? And I give you a checklist, or I give you a tag, or send you an
Yeah,
invoice. Have I not done what you're talking about and
yeah,
still enjoyed everything, every process, and still monetized it?
definitely, definitely you have.
Now, you see, when it comes to artists like musicians, they're just in the studio having fun, and then they create this wonderful beat, And they're like, yo, why don't you drop on this? Give this beat some words. And the guy comes in, he raps. This other person comes in, throws a couple of hooks, and there's a chorus. It's all recorded, right?
Yeah.
And then the producer is like, okay, let me see. And he replays it, does one or two things. And like, yo, this thing is jamming. Let's put it out. And they put it out. And it goes bam. It's the next big thing. And the money starts coming in. Has everyone not enjoyed themselves? Like you
They have.
created something. So what is the
No, no,
problem?
no.
Why
So,
can't we
so,
do the
so,
same
so,
thing?
so look at it like this. Look at it like this. So you did that, right? And that went bam. So there are two things in like the creative sphere, right? With monetizing your passion, right? Is that first of all, for many creatives, it's your primary creative expression, right? Is a it's what it is, a form of expression. So until you get to maybe intermediate stages, and this is what we have talked on in previous episodes, is that you need to make a discipline of the art, right? Is that a lot of people, for instance, as a poet, I prefer to write when I'm inspired than when I'm not, right? And you could argue that a lot of times when I write inspired, the on average are better than when I write uninspired. But let's say I'm a poet and I'm working with brands to create, art, right? Made with poetry. Um, on this first project that I did with an organization, the juices were flowing, everything was sweet. I made it, bam. We released that, right? It was fun. I made cash, which I think also brings up into the conversation of um, that as creatives, we need to start having more money conversations, because one of those things that gets me as a person is, when somebody asks for price and that sort of thing, like it easily is one of the things that I've had to progressively get better at, but it's not a very big strong suit of mine. So maybe we'll talk about like
I
soft
I I
skills
I I
that,
made I made notes on that actually, Seth. I made notes on that.
so maybe we'll talk about
Actually,
like some
I'm
soft
looking at my
skills.
laptop. The notes are here. I'm looking at them.
Yeah. So maybe we'll talk later on like soft skills that creatives need when they want to start monetizing their art. But here you go with that. You release that this thing. It was an amazing success. More agencies start hitting you up, right? So let's say you get inspired for the next two. There are five more waiting for you, and you have to churn it at a deadline, right? Now here's the thing: you made this amazing work, right? You have to make work that is either equal or more amazing than that other
Or
one.
more
So there's
amazing than the
pressure.
previous one.
There's
There's
pressure there,
pressure on
right?
you.
And that reduces the enjoyability of that project. So let's go back to your example of being a musician. So let's say you have been on the game for a bit underground, nobody knows you too much. You went to studio one day, you did this thing, it was the next big thing, right? Labels start
Yeah.
hitting you up. They hit you up, they're like, let's rock this, let's make an album for you, right? Let's do all these things. You meet with their PRO, they do all these stunts and everything. Now you have to do a song, right? But what is the baseline for that album that you're going to do? It's like um the last song that was viral, right? That's what you're either supposed to meet or top. And most people will prefer that you top it, right? So that can easily, that mental component that can train this thing of all the strength. But you see, like you might be good at writing, and say, okay, I want to be a songwriter. Hmm? And that removes some of the pressure of having to do a hit track for you, right? And that can be like a steady source of income, right, for
Income.
you. And then you're going to be like, okay, with this money that I'm making, I can do like a passion project of maybe. So, for instance, Sia is a good example. I think I've heard her story before, or that I think her first album, and I may be wrong. So, if you know any better, put this into the comments. She's a known songwriter. That's where her main bread and butter comes up from. But her first album was made of the songs that other artists rejected, right? So I can say, oh, this is not my full-time job, but I can, it pulls some of that pressure, right? And doesn't make it a debilitating, what do you call it? Something that you start to dread. So I believe that every creative has like a lot of creatives have multitude of skills, right? And they can be put into different segments, right? So in that sense, it's like I can say, for instance, as a writer, I can do copywriting as or content writing, right, as my main gig, right? And then writing a book, a short story or something as a passion project, right? And in some ways, when I am tired about like writing content and this thing, that art of writing short stories fills my book. So I'm just trying to kind of like balance it from like the mind of a creative who in many ways, right? And I feel maybe it's something that is different from other industries, right? What is that we are we derive a higher sense of self from the art that we create. So that makes every flaw, every this thing a whole lot personal than maybe um people in other industries. So that's kind of like my reasoning around that.
Right. So majorly we're looking at creative block.
Yeah. Um a
We're
bit of that. Yes, a bit of
a
that.
bit of that. We're looking at creative block. Okay, funny enough, before this video, I had creative block last week, and I just came out and I just did three more content after it. Like I was complaining I had creative block today, and like in the next days I had three content out. And my friend was like, "I thought you said you had creative block." I said, "Yeah, I did." So like, what was the inspiration? I said nothing. I looked around.
Yeah.
So like, you looked around. Like sometimes there's nothing you're doing that has not been done under the sun. There's nothing creative you want to do someone has not done,
In some
except you've
shape
not
or form.
seen
Yeah.
it. Yeah, in some shape or form. So what you have to do is just pick from here, pick from here, pick from here, add your own, refine it, and put it out. And you'll be like, oh my God, is this sounds like Da Vinci, but no, I think it's Aristotle. At the same time, this is so raw, and they get confused. Do you know why you were talking? I just looked at my side here. This book I finished last year, and I just smiled. I feel like an artist,
Yeah. Austin Kleon.
Austin Kleon,
Yeah.
and I just smiled. And it's just the honest truth. By the time I had done all of that, topics started coming, conversations started flying in. I started working on it, and I put things out. So, in as much as that's why, always try to be in a community, no matter any field you're in. Have yourself a community of people that are like you. Like if you're in the spoken word community, if you're a spoken word artist, find yourself a spoken word community of people who do spoken words. Funny enough, you don't need to pick their entire words. You just need one line, one sentence, and you can
Something to
develop yours
spark.
from there. Something to just spark yours. Most of the times, most of the time, what you're looking for is actually close to you. It's not far. If you take out time to listen to Burna Boy's albums, you would see that it's refined fella. Like he just took fella and took like 21st
Yeah, then you
century
have
beats and
put
dumped
stuff
it in
on them.
there.
Yeah.
And then guy, there was this, they said it's when you're sad, you actually listen to a lyrics of a song. When you're happy, you just hear the beats. I think I was in between. So I was in a barbering salon. I was living in Abuja, and what I had gone for wasn't really making sense. And I was like, this guy just came to Abuja, and this thing did not click. And I was in the salon trying to get a haircut, and one of this Burna Boy song was, playing, and I was like, the hell, this is not fella. That's what I just said. It's not fella. And the guy cutting my hair looked at me and was like, I got with you. I still be fella be this. Say, "Oh, na Burna Boy, Joe. Wait till you tell you. He said, this man, they call Burna Boy fella. Okay, where you from, sir?" I was like, no, no, no. Increase the volume. They increased it. I said, oh yeah, everybody, calm down and listen. They're like, "Na fella, oh." That's never really, oh my God, I think that's actually fella. So there was the fella track inside it, but
Yeah.
it had much of a kind of Afro. It had so much Afrobeat
That was
clouding over
yeah.
it. But imagine if that song was actually Burna Boy's inspiration. And all he did was just, mix me some beats on the system and they did it. And he said, oh yeah, throw in this one and he did it. He said, bring down piano and he did it. And, he brought out a wonderful track. And we're all jumping. This guy is a genius. No, 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 no. He took what Fela did and then he just,
So
added salt and pepper with a bit of no
yeah.
and made a wonderful meal.
So
And
it's
that's just it.
I think it's fascinating in two ways, right? One is that there is there is something to be said for not allowing writer's block or creative block to spoil your earning potential, right? And
It
there
shouldn't.
is and there is that thing of actually being, and it's a thread that we have had through this series, is that actually becoming a master, and the master in that sense of you have put in time and effort to actually do the work to make sure that you can get consistent results. Um, I think I still feel like, and I really get this point, and I'm really going to push it as this. And I think it's not. I don't think it's a very much contestable point. Is that we all as creatives, there are many skills, right, that we can harness and use to make money. Definitely. There are a lot of skills that you need to make money. However, you have to get to this point where you're saying you cannot be all things to all men, right? So you have to pick. Um, no, no, definitely you cannot. Okay, so for instance, you're looking at me somehow. It's like, are you going to be giving selling video editing services anytime soon, or graphic design this thing anytime soon?
But that's not my niche.
No, no. Yes, I understand what you're saying, but it's still some part of your skill house. You get. It's
But
still
then,
some
but then
expression. It's still some
I could
expression of
sell,
creativity.
I
You
could sell
could
a work plan. I could sell a work plan, a financial work plan for graphic designers. I could
definitely,
sell a financial work plan for video editors.
definitely,
I could sell how to increase your net worth or your cash portfolio as a video editor. So
definitely.
I don't need to actually learn that. I need to take my niche and spin it around that area and create
To
something
create
of
something.
it.
So
Exactly.
what I'm trying to say is that as creatives, we have different skills that we are building, right? But they
Yeah.
are you have to come to this point where you decide that here is where I am camping, right? And here's where I'm camping to make a business out of something. You get right? Like um, for instance, you're a writer, eh? Um, you have written a lot of stories, right? You know how to write content for social media. You know a lot of content writing. Um, at some point, if you want to create a business that is um, and that if you're one man, let's say you have not yet built systems that bring other people into like a process or something, right? Um, let's say you're starting, you want to be serious, you want to niche down. You're with all the things that you're doing. One thing that would probably serve you better is get one of those skills, right? Let's say you have a very good skill to interview people and turn that into very good biographies. You could be a good um, ghostwriter for autobiographies. It doesn't mean that you don't know how to string captions for social media or write emails, but you cannot be everything.
At the same time.
So you cannot be everything, right? You can do the other things on the side, but at some point you have to say, you know what, here is where I want to kind of like take my feet in. Here's where
In anyone now, you cannot be everything, but you can do everything. There's a difference. If you can be everything, you're a confused person. If you can do everything, you're an industrious person.
yeah.
Are we seeing the difference now? Now, for example, me, for example, I, I can I can cook, I can do my laundry, I can clean my house, I can still go to work, I can have presentations, I can do public speaking. Not replace all the can do with do. I can do public speakings, I can write, I can read and all of that. But now you don't expect me to be all of those things. You don't expect me to be the cook. You don't expect me to be the laundry guy. You don't expect me to be the house cleaner. You don't expect me to be the writer. You don't expect me to be the
Yeah.
speaker. You don't expect me to be the finance guy and the banker. At that point, it's not that I can't do them. I can do them, but there is no time to do them. So at this point, I have to outsource them. Only
Okay.
if you're getting me. Now,
Yeah.
instead of me to spend this amount of time in cooking, I can tell so and no, not even cooking itself. You have to go to the market, clear the kitchen, come back, cook, and tidy up the kitchen.
Yeah.
That's roughly four, five, six activities. Now, on the other side, you have a presentation to prepare for, and the next day you have a public speaking engagement. What do you think I should do? Now,
I
cooking,
it's up to you.
cooking, cooking,
Okay. Presentation, public
writing,
speaking.
and yeah, presentation and public speaking. I would look at the cooking part and outsource, and I'll start writing now, and I'll start the
Yeah.
presentation now. And then when I'm done, I tender, it gets thumbs up. I shift down to the public speaking.
Yeah.
You're seeing that now. But
Yeah.
can I be the cook and can I do the cooking, the public speaking, and the whole presentation? Can I do all of that? Yes, I can. But I cannot be the chef at this point. Why? Because
But
something more
other things will
important needs
suffer,
my attention.
and then other things would kind of like
Would then
suffer on
suffer.
the process of this thing. So
Exactly.
can we can
Because
we
you
can,
have to
can we go into
arrange.
your
You
priorities?
have exactly. It's not
So
as if you
on
can't do them. You can.
Okay. So that's I think that now takes us to the process of how do you now sort out what skills, right? Or what which of your skills you want to monetize. So do you have like a process that we can go into or maybe think through that says, okay, here is I have different skills, right? But if I do everything, right, at the
I
same
think
I cannot do
we're
everything
now
at the same
entering
time.
finance proper. I'm getting excited. We're entering
Yes,
finance properly,
yes.
and my
So
fingers are
so
just so
so
itchy.
we are here. Yes, we are here. So it's like can we I am on this page, right? How do I now say, okay, um here is what I want to do, or here is what I will be doing as like the primary source of income,
Income.
like in yeah.
Now, when you're looking at primary source of income, there's one thing involved. You don't do what you want to do. You do what the people need you to do. There has to be a
Yeah,
demand, and you're supplying
yeah,
that demand. First of all, there's a market. What does the market want? The market wants a graphic designer. Am I good in graphics in as much as I'm a spoken word artist? Yes, I would give the market graphics, not spoken word at this point. I would do that till I am able and till I can sustain that graphics to the point that it becomes so easy. Picasso did an art of a woman in less than 3 to 5 minutes, and the woman asked for the price. He called the lad son. The woman was like, "Oh, that just took you how many minutes to do?" He said, "It took me, to you, it took me like 10, 20 minutes to
I
do it,
mean it's
but
a
it took
lifetime.
me a lifetime to get here."
Yeah,
So when you've perfected this part, you've built yourself in this part, you've built aim in this part, you've built like everything there is to build in graphics design. You can now leave it there and now tilt towards spoken word. It might
something.
take you a long time, but then the idea of having multiple streams of income is you have to be focused in one. Let that one be so easy for you to do. Then you start building the next one. Now,
So
this
yeah,
let's use multiple income one, income two, income three, income four.
yeah,
If I am a banker,
yeah,
I would work on this and get to one of the best levels where I can be leaving the office and things will still run smooth. right?
Yeah.
I can be
So
doing this and
certain
I decide to,
systems being efficient enough
yes,
and certain systems that
yes.
allow the work to go smoothly.
The only thing I might be called to do is, sir, we need your signature and your approval. I might just drop to
Okay.
the office. Or I'll tell them, oh yeah, bring it to so-and-so location, and I'll just sign off, read the sign off, and I tell them to go. That's my one. Let's imagine that's my first stream of income.
Yeah.
I've successfully built this. Then I take up a lecturing job in a private university where it's banking and finance. Are you
Yeah.
seeing the connection now? Now, it gets to a point where I am no longer needed in class. All I need to do is tell my students, we so and so test. Let's meet on Zoom and we'll finish the discussion. I have built it to that level. This is two streams now paying. This third one, let's say I am a broker. I do shares and stocks and everything, Forex. Now I become so good that all I need to do is look at the markets and put my buy or sell order, and I am good. That's three. Number four, I decided to be a writer. Now, I've been writing since here. I don't know
Yeah.
if you get me. One, two, three. But now I now have the time to actually sit back, write and review what I have written. And then I start selling. We have four, and I'm still alive. You saw
So
how we built the
that's
four?
yeah. So it's a
It
gradual.
might take time. It's a
It's a gradual
gradual thing.
slow. Yeah.
You don't just wake up. You know, when people are talking about streams of income, I laugh because I'm like, you don't just wake up and say you want to have four streams of income. You'll be born out, you will die. I'm sorry to say this, but you will die
Hmm.
very fast. You will die. Your health will fail you. You have to build one. Let this one be able to work without you and still be bringing you money. You shift to the next. Misan, I can't be a spoken word artist, a banker, a lecturer, and a financial educator at the same time.
At the same point, yeah.
One has to be able to work without me for the next one to function.
Yeah.
That is
I
the idea.
definitely agree. I definitely agree.
So,
Um, a couple of years ago, sorry to interrupt. A couple of years ago, I was on an Instagram live with Image. Um, he's this designer, um, very incredible creative guy that creates content to help other creatives navigate the creative space and stuff like that. And he said something that kind of like stuck with me. Um, I'm very bad at this part, but it also lends point to what you are saying and something that you touched on a bit, which is outsourcing. So it's like you get very good at this thing, you build systems around it. Um, that let's say you are a very good designer, for instance. Um, you are very good. You are known world over about, or at least nationwide over. People are looking for you, and then you have it down to a science. You have the things, you have your assets, you have the process you put, right? Um, and then somebody says, "Oh, we would love for you to build a website." Now, that's not your primary strength. You have to kind of like build up from the beginning, right? But however, because you have clout as a designer, that job has fallen into your lap.
that's
So
going
you
into
can
your
just
lap.
go and meet another person and say, you know what, okay, um, and that's like part of being in the community. Also, be like, oh, you can make websites. I can work on like the illustrations and graphics for this, right? And um, you
You do
handle
the
like the
whole
setting
coding
up,
and
or yeah,
everything
yeah, and that works, right? And then you get to keep more money than you would
and
have
keep the
for
clients.
yes. And that is like you can have that and add that as a like another an extra stream because it goes out of what you are doing and you're not necessarily bearing all the weight of that. I think we need to get to that point, and it goes back to like one of the first things we talked about being that uh being the insinuation of discipline, right? You need to be able to sit down and do the work, like not just go and because of like looking to do work only because you have inspiration, but have like a system where you can spark ideas and be productive, and then go back and also create that, build something to where you're good enough and noticing that it gives you the opportunity to branch out. So I think that that's a very important thing that we're not talking about. So outsourcing, right? outsourcing is like a fantastic, especially when you have built skill and clout. Um, outsource. Don't be afraid to outsource. I need to listen to this too, because there's a lot of there is kind of like a market, right, of people who all they do, right, is they have built very great careers, huh? And because of those great careers that they have built, people come to meet them for projects, and they are giving other people the projects, overseeing those projects, and making up a markup without having to do this.
without having
Yeah,
to do anything.
yeah, and that frees them up for more creative pursuits. So I think this ties up into thinking about money. So let's go into a couple of things. Yeah. How does somebody look at the market? What are like things? Um, where is the intersection between skill and market for you? So it's like, let's say this is the thing that it's not everything that's trending definitely that you can jump on, right?
Yes.
It's not everything that the market, it's not every need that the market has that you can fulfill. So how do you integrate? How do you look at your skills and determine how to fit that into the market?
Now, first things first, before anything is in demand, there has to be a problem.
Yeah.
If water is in demand in a particular community, it means that the community lacks water.
Yeah.
If there is so much need of graphic designers, it means that there are a whole of products, but there is no one to give the product a very good picture.
Yeah.
And that is why people need good graphic designers. So it's what you should focus on is the problem in the market. Don't just jump and look at what everybody's, going after the demand. Look for the problem. This demand, what problem is it solving?
Yeah.
Because a demand is actually the solution. It's not the problem. The demand is the solution to the problem.
It's yes, it's people looking,
You,
it's people, yeah,
you, you are the supply.
of
You're the one that give this. You supply the solution. So you're the supply. There's a demand. There is the market. Now there is now the problem. What is actually the problem in this market? Now, mind you, there are different ways to solve a problem.
I'm
I
listening.
think the father of
Yeah.
the Michael Faraday, he it was at the 1000 time he learned how to light a bulb. That
Yeah.
he built
So the
electricity.
also the
But
story goes, yeah.
he found 999 times 999 ways to make a bulb, which means there is one way to solve a problem, but then there are 999 ways to innovate on the solution of a problem. Get the idea?
Yeah.
The problem, okay, the phone, the cell phone solved the problem of communication.
Yeah.
From one country to another. Now, by the time we were born, it was the landline,
Yeah.
and then my dad got my mom in Nokia 3310 for almost
The
70K
first
as
kissing.
of then.
Yeah.
Now we are in an age where our phones are buttonless.
Yeah.
But the problem of communication is it being solved? It is.
Yes, yes.
But now it's now becoming more innovative.
It's about those little iterations. That
We started with Java, we grew to Symbian, we started doing Android
yeah.
operating systems. Now we're running
Yeah.
on iOS. Who
Yeah.
knows? Then BlackBerry came and BlackBerry died. Who knows
BlackBerry,
what's
yeah.
coming up next?
Yeah.
But now the thing is, all this innovation are still solving the problem of what? Communication.
Communication. So if I'm getting you right, it's that as creatives, we need to find also there's a problem, but we need
Innovative
to find
ways.
yes, we need to find a
Innovative ways
flavor,
to
yes,
solve the
to
problem.
solve the problem.
That is
Something,
why we
yeah,
are called creatives. That is why we are called creatives. We
yeah,
don't give it one plus one. We give it one and we transcribe the one into something beautiful. That will still tell you it's still one, but it's more than one. It's so beautiful that you don't think it's one, but it's one.
It's more
That is why
value
you're
than
creative.
originally what was put in.
That's just it. So, in as much as you're going into the market to look at to give to supply to the demand, how well are you supplying it? Are you adding the sauce to it? Are you adding the flavor to it? Are you adding the creativity to it? Now, in the spoken word community, you all do spoken word, but then there is something, there's a mixture of words someone would drop, and you'd be like, "Mm," it hits you right deep in the spine. You want to
Or it might even be video. It might even be like somebody who does ads is more creative in like their soundtracks, right? It might
and
be
you're like,
experimenting with a
who is
certain
this
type of
guy?
poetry style. Yeah,
And you're
yeah.
like, who is this guy?
Because even though
That's
even though there's a market, yeah, even though there's a market for a certain thing, people still there still needs to be some level of novelty. If not, what differentiates you from the other person who is doing the same thing? I think we are
if
heading
not,
into a
the law of diminishing returns will set in.
certain, yeah, true.
Everybody will get tired of the same thing. They want something different. If you notice, that's why the Apple the iPhone keeps upgrading year by year. And yeah, at some point you'd be like, they've added two, three things new. So
Yeah,
like you remember when the three camera came out, the three eye
yeah,
driving, we're calling it three eye driving. Everybody wanted a bit of it. We know it was the same thing with the old one that came out. But yes, we want three cameras. We
yeah.
want three cameras, whether you like it or not.
I even remember when like Android phones came out, and then there,
Came
there
out.
was a with more cameras, and one of like the funny things was at that point it used to annoy me because I knew something many people did not know, and that was that these companies, especially on like the cheaper phones, were adding fake cameras, right? So people were buying this thing thinking, oh, it has two cameras, and what they were just saying was like a zoom inside, and people were, gobbling it up. It was a very interesting thing. So that's the kind of like a digression, but I think this now gives us a progression of, okay, you have found that innovation, you have found the thing you want to do, right? You have found that innovation. So what are some money soft skills, right, that creatives need to know in order to not just sustain that business, but also to grow it, right? To build it into something of like a system that can work for itself and expand.
Okay. So I'm going to go into finance straight up. I'm going to go into finance straight up. I understand the fact that we creatives, we are so passionate about what we do that we seem to forget that passion doesn't pay the bill.
Rich.
That's the honest truth. We are so we are so passionate about what we're doing, like it's our life. It's like the air we breathe. But at the same time, it doesn't pay the bill. So as a creative, the first thing you need to do is to earn. Now there are four different what's that word again?
Anyways,
There are four ways to actually earn. Let me use that word. It's not what I'm looking for, but there are four ways to actually earn. You earn by doing what you learned in school. You earn by doing what you learned by yourself. You earn by doing you earn by doing what you enjoy doing. You earn by from your hobby. That's the passion part. And then you invest. These are the four ways you can actually earn. So you go to school, you get a degree, you take it out, you get a 9 to 5 or a paying job or whatever thing you can do that's those soft skills from school taught you, or
yeah,
those in-demand skills in the corporate society gave you. That's the first one. The second one is you earn from learning things from other people. Things like makeup. I don't think anyone was born as a makeup artist. There are things we learn from people. You learn things like makeup, you learn things like photography, you learn things like graphics design, you learn all these things from people. And then there's something you're so good at you never learned from anyone. It's what you call your hobby, it's what you call your passion. It could be spoken word, it could be writing, it could be dancing. For example, for Messi, it's football. these were things he had in him
Yeah.
as he was growing up. So you can earn from these things, from that, or you can have money given to you by your parents, as someone like I don't want to call names, but imagine someone like Davido being born in a rich family, or someone like Dangote being
Yeah.
born in a rich family, and then on them giving birth to you, they've given you $1 million in an account, and then you just
Yeah.
at some point you take the money, you invest, and you make more money. So these are the four basic ways people earn.
Yeah.
So now let's get down to business. As a creative, you must start. You must start. You just start. Everyone was born from ground zero. It was survival. Then we all had to start earning. As a creative, the first thing is to, as long as your finance is there, as long as it's concerned, it's to earn. Now, don't look at where you are. Don't look at what is giving you the money at that point. Just try to earn. It might not be what you're creative about. It might not be what you're so passionate about. It might be a desk job. It might be a teaching job. It might be a bank job. It might be a medical job. Don't worry. Just take it and be earning. Your passion will come in later. Trust me. You can now take out the evenings or the weekends to now work on your passion. Like I tell people, I'm a banker by day, I'm a financial educator by night. For me, the whole financial education thing is like passion.
Yeah.
It took me 4 years to get my first payment as a financial educator. I kid you not. Now, imagine a spoken word artist. How much more a spoken word artist? You may not get paid on your first gig or your second gig.
Yeah.
Your third gig, they might tell you thank you. Your fourth gig, they might give you gifts
Yeah.
or smile at you. So now imagine all of this part. That's why I said you need to first earn. You actually need to
With
first
that
earn. And
language.
why I was comfortable with, not being paid as a financial educator was because money was coming in from my job, and it was taking care of me and taking care of the full financial education thing. So kid you not, the first paid gig I got was last year, the wife of the governor. That was my first ever paid gig, and it was more like open doors since then. Since then, it's been paid gig after paid gig. But I did 4 years straight. I host an event, at the boardroom.
Yeah. Boardroom.
It's
Yeah.
more like financial education. I've done boardroom back to back for 4 years. I've not gotten a single partner or sponsor. Only my friends come to help. I've not gotten like a headline or anything. I spent the last time I did the boardroom, I spent 500,000. There are periods I spent 700. There are periods I spent 1 million. All of these were just my personal money. I didn't see any gain inside. I didn't see a single gain, but this was passion to me. So now imagine me as a spoken word artist who has a job and enjoys spoken word. I don't think I'll be holding concerts about spoken word. I don't care if I get the money or not, but everyone just come. Let's have that feel. Let's
Yeah.
have that enjoy. Let's have that community, that sense of belonging, and let's
Yeah.
do spoken word and enjoy ourselves.
And that can only
That's why I
happen
said
because you have um
a job
something. Yes.
that is feeding you. You have something that is feeding you. I'm not saying throw away your dreams. All I'm saying is get something that pays the bills first, and then find out way. It's your passion. It's been with you for a very long time, so it's something you're well vested in. I don't know if you get me. Remember
I think. I think.
remember the
Yeah.
example. You remember the example we got earlier. The bank job, the lecturing job.
Yeah.
Now you've done the bank job for a very long time that it can roll without you, and you still get your results. So at this point, as a creative, you can just sit down and pen something, and it's wonderful, no stress. Because if you do it's your passion, it's inbuilt in you, it's in like your bloodstream, it's what drives you.
And it's
You
something
sit
that
down,
you
you
have
pen.
also been growing for quite
Now
a bit. Yeah.
for quite a while. Now what you need now is a job that can help you take care of your life, and at the same time you're growing that job to the point where you can now start monetizing your passion.
So
This is where
so
creatives fall
it,
short.
yeah. So let's say I'm taking your advice, I've gotten a job, right? So concerts are not cheap, right? And
Yes,
living is not also cheap. So what are
exactly. The
financial
next part, the next
strategies?
step.
Yeah.
Yes. So I spoke about earning. The next thing you have to do is to start saving. Personal finances, 80% discipline, 20% you. Sorry, 80% discipline, 20% money.
Yeah.
You first have to discipline yourself and then you look at the money. So if I tell myself I need to be saving 10, 20, 30% of my salary every month, at this point, it's not about the money, oh, it's about me.
Yeah.
I don't care how much I'm earning. But if I tell myself I need to be saving 30% every month, 30% times 12 is 360. So if you're saving 30K every month for 10 months, that's 300K. For add 60 again, that's 306,000 naira. That's 360K. You do this for 2 years, you have over half a million. True or false?
True.
This year, next year, you have half a million. Now, if you now say, I want to host this concert, by then in your first year, you were trying to focus on the job. And
Yeah.
now you've gotten some certain kind of leverage, and the job you can take out time and do one or two,
Yeah. More
things about your
acclimatized to
passion.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So at that point, you can start bringing up the creative part of you again. The spoken word, the financial education, the NGO thing, all of that. You can now start bringing it to learn little by little. At the end of the second year, you can now balance your job and your creative life. By the third year, you've saved enough money for whatever concept you want to do. Are
Yeah.
you seeing the idea? So now, the thing about this is by the second year, you've gotten contacts, you've gotten networks, you're in a community. So
Yeah.
in as much as you're doing a concert next year, you're not doing it alone. The people you're going to ride on are your community. The first customer of your business is your family or your friend. And these are your first marketers as well. Misan, I cannot create a product now, throw it to the internet, and someone will come to buy it. No. The people that will talk about my products and my family and those close to me. Okay, for example, now, Misan, I make meat pie.
Mhm.
Where do you think the first person that is going to buy my meat pie will come from? Where do you think they're going to come from?
The people that have tasted it first are most likely family, friends. Yeah. In that sense
So,
of getting like testimonials and things like that.
exactly. So, if you're creative, the people that are going to give you your testimonials are those in your community.
Yeah.
And it's something called the power of six. I tell my friends, you're one phone call away from the president if you don't know. In case you think it's a lie, there is someone you know
I know
that
somebody.
knows someone
Yeah.
that knows someone that knows someone
Yeah.
that is with the president. And all you
Preach.
have to do is just pick up the phone and get one phone call.
Yeah.
That's just
True.
it. So
True.
there is someone in your community, if they are serious about it. I know this person, they can come to, we can help you, they can help you sponsor. Like I told you, for the past 4 years, I've been doing boardroom. The third I've been coming to are my friends. There has been no major company coming through.
Yeah.
It's just my friends and their connects, and which are all like small companies too. But then these are the people that come through. I've not gotten like something like a huge bank or like First Bank or Access Bank come through. No, I've not gotten that yet. I know I'm gonna get that someday, but then again, it's one step at a time. So by the time this has happened, the best part is you've had your money saved up that you want to invest in so and so something, or invest in so and so show, or invest in your passion and make it big. You want a concert and
Yeah.
you've saved a reasonable amount. So what you need is just additional funds that can take care of some minor things. And you know that if it's something like a concert, one major thing is the event, the event place, the venue. If the venue is sorted out, you have 50% of your work done. The next thing is publicity and then instruments. So you can now have friends who can help you with publicity, word of mouth, and the rest, and have
Yeah.
people who can help you with, the instruments. By then, you're in a community, and a community what has resources.
Yeah.
A
This
community
is also this
has
is
resources.
this is going back to another string of saying that in the first event that we had, uh, uh, the person we were speaking to Polly was like, you always have more resources than you think, and it was leading back to serving in a community and how that community helps you uh, when you have like projects and stuff like that. So is it okay to say that maybe your third strategy, right, is people resources? because that's after you have talked about savings, you have now talked about uh you know
I talked about earning, I talked about
yeah, you
saving.
talked about
The third
earning,
part
but
is investing.
okay.
Now, here's the funny thing. People think investing is all about money, but I tell them money is the last. When it comes to investing, money is the last. This is what people don't know. Now, you have to invest in your name. And a name is not what you bear, it is the character you exhibit.
So that's in like branding already.
Exactly. So who are you? You invest in your name. And when you hear someone's name, like what comes to your mind when you hear Dangote?
Cement.
You hear a whole
No,
lot
but
of
like
good things.
business magnet,
You hear
right?
it, but
Yeah,
then you hear a
it's
whole
like
lot of good
diversified,
things,
yeah. But yeah, it's like
accolades,
yeah,
businesses, wealth.
diversified
Do
portfolio, that sort of
how
thing. Yeah.
often do you hear how often do you hear bad news about Dangote minus he lost money? Have you heard things like rape? Have you heard things like armed
Now
robbery?
I've
Have you
only
heard
heard
things
about
like
that.
theft?
I've only heard about that babe. You know that babe.
That one was big. That one was big.
Say
It was not
something.
rape.
Say something. But no,
But
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. It's like
you get where I'm
yeah,
coming from.
yeah,
Even the Bible says a good name is far better than riches.
which is yes,
No one will work with your brand if you're not in, if you're inconsistent. No
yeah,
one works with your brand if you don't complete your jobs.
yeah,
No one will work with your brand if you don't deliver.
yes,
So in the community you're in, does he have a good name and a good reputation? You have
true.
to invest in it. You have to seriously invest in your name. When you're done investing in your name, you invest in your network, your network. Now I tell people your network is not who you know. It's actually who knows you. We all know Dangote. Misan, me and that are here, Dangote doesn't know us.
True. Soon, Sha,
Now
soon.
imagine soon. Now imagine me picking up the phone, calling someone, and I'm like, Dangote is gonna call you in like 5 minutes. So I want you to have that business deal closed. Even before Dangote has called him, just the fact that I told him Dangote knows me, he's gonna call you in 5 minutes. So try and have this business
Yeah.
deal closed. He will make sure that business deal is closed, even if I don't pay him or not. Now, end of 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, Dangote calls him. Hello, I am Aliko Dangote. I got referred to you by so and so person about a business deal. Has it been closed? Misan, if it is you, eh? Now me carry Dangote come meet you. Dangote called you.
Hmm.
Guy, you tell everybody Dangote knows me. Because at this point, he
Satis-
actually does know you.
satisfy customers. Yeah.
At this point, he actually does know you. So when I tell people,
Yeah.
invest in your network, try your best. Like people walk up to me and they're like, Mr. K, how are you doing, sir? I can't remember you. Like I don't know you. Have you met before? Where did we meet? That that's what is going on in my head. I'm like, who is this person?
Yeah.
How does he know my name? And then you're like, oh, you've forgotten you're a public figure. That's what comes to
It's
my mind later on.
it's one of the
Now,
very funny things. Yeah. Now, come in. Sorry. This just reminds me of a couple of months ago. Like I said, I don't really go out very much. A couple of months ago, I went for an event, and I was in the audience and everything, and I was trying to, I was talking to people, and then somebody was like, "Oh, what's your name?" and everything, and I'm like, "Oh, Misa," and the person waits like, "Oh, Ogbe-san," and I'm like, "Okay, okay, I did not think that it was going like that, but yeah, like there is something to that because it, you, like you said, building a name, right? And having there's a lot. So sorry to kind of like this just brought a thought into my head. Is that there is this idea that referrals don't often come from like your closest friends, right? They come from acquaintances,
true.
people that like some of your biggest referrals might not come from your closest friends. That they more often than not, for many people, come from uh, um, acquaintances, referrals from this thing. So in some ways, having a very strong name brand or building something of yourself is a great way that when you approach people or your name is out there, you're building a name, a brand for yourself, that with people that don't even really know you, you get referrals to big things. And in some
Okay.
ways, that is working a lot to your benefit. It's like, oh, I know this
So
person and this person can work that. Yeah.
okay, so like there is this thing that I'm an usher in church. So if you're coming in, I'm keeping that eye contact and I'm smiling. And when you come close, I'm like, you look so beautiful, you look so amazing, your dress is so fine. Whether you're a guy or a girl, I must compliment you.
Yeah.
Now, imagine you're going to sit down and you're smiling like, why is my like that guy give me a very good compliment? And they look up, oh, you mean K Money? You're like, K Money, how? Ah, he's a finance educator. Look him up on Instagram. Now, I did not ask you what your name was, true or
Yeah.
false. I only
Yeah.
complimented you. And then
Yeah.
you smiled, you became happy. I created something which I know that at this point money cannot buy.
Yeah.
And then you sat down with someone and that person had to introduce me to you without me doing a single thing. That's how you build network. You give to the society. The littlest thing, no matter how small it is, just give. And there's something people don't forget. Someone might forget how much you gave them, but they'll never forget how you made them feel, whether good
True.
or bad.
True.
So I walk into
True.
I walk into somewhere for the first time. Maybe I walk into a group filled with so many. Okay, so funny enough, I was at leadership training, Gotney, Guardians of the Nations in Abuja. And I got in and we're 40 selected across Nigeria. Smartest young people, different niche. You have banking, you have politics. I was in banking, we had politics, had a whole lot of sessions. And funny enough, I started meeting with everybody. I don't care. Hi, you look so amazing. Oh, your dress is so fine. Mom, you're so beautiful. My boss, guy, I love your tie. I love your outfit. Making everybody feel so good about themselves. After 2 days, training was done. Can I have a picture of you? Can I have your phone number? That was the next thing I was hearing. Guy, can I get a picture with you? Guy, can I get your phone number? I'm like, okay, okay. I couldn't even remember half of their names. And the next thing I'm seeing photos on Instagram. I'm like, wow. Oh, you're even this guy. Now we came down for the second program in Abuja again, ELC. We had that was Emerging Leaders Conference hosted by the same Gotney. My cohort was to host the event, and I had someone from Jos walking up to me like, "Star, I follow you on Instagram. You are amazing. I don't know this guy from Madam."
Yeah.
And all he said was, one of my guys told me about you, and I had to look you up. And I'm like, who is the guy? I don't even know the guy. It's funny that the guy
Touch
heard
points.
me
Yeah.
on an IG live and followed me.
Yeah.
And that was just it. Only if now you know the most funniest part? I did not charge for that IG live. Someone called
Yeah.
me to come out, like, let's go, let's have fun. And we started discussing money and we started giving financial advice. These are things people will charge you for. But
Yeah.
then you're giving people things that they know that they cannot pay for. And you're giving them wisdom. And you're making them feel like, oh, finally, a solution for my problem free of charge without me paying a dime. Do you know how much people pay to get into money communities when you talk about investments or
Yeah.
financial education or things about finance? People pay in this Nigeria to join there.
Yes.
But then you're looking at these guys discussing it free of charge and they don't care. They're just having fun. And you're learning, you're writing things down, you're jotting things down. That was how this guy told this other guy that had the issue about money. And this guy followed the other guy that started following me. And now we are meeting in Jos. I don't know how long this guy was following me for on Instagram, but him walking up to me, and here's the funny thing: during the whole event, I took up the mic, said a couple of things about Dr. Linus Okori, MFR. Gave a whole speech. There was a standing ovation. Then the guy was like, he had to like look at me, look at my profile, look at me. He's like, that's the guy, that's him. It has to be him because no one talks like he does. I don't know if you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
So you've created something that money cannot buy. You've made someone, you've given someone a good feel of themselves, a good feeling,
Yeah.
you've made them feel really good. The next thing you want to do is get close to you without you even doing anything about it. And it's more like as if you look at the business world, some people make more progress than others, even if their products are trash.
Yeah, but sometimes it's a factor of how it's buying
It's a
decisions
fact.
are not necessarily the most rational things. It's not just strictly about the how you are solving the problem, but like the other things attached, like how this person feels when doing
Miss
business with you or stuff
Now,
like that.
Missan, while growing up, we had Bovita and Milo, true of
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
At a point, you know which one to choose. If you go to get groceries, if it's not Bovita or Milo, what chocolate beverage are you buying?
And none come to mind.
None will come to mind. Even if you see
None come to mind.
anyone, you'll be like, nah, nah, nah. If it's not Bovita, so I do have Bovita, no, do you have Milo? No, I'm not buying. These brands grew up with us, or they helped us grow. Guy, Milo basketball competition, Milo last kid standing.
Yeah,
These were things we grew up with. They were part of our childhood. Now, growing up, they made us feel good. They made us feel powerful. They made us feel like Superman. We thought the things
yeah.
we saw on TV, all the whole adverts. They're part of our childhood. So me growing up now, I want my child to actually drink Milo or Bonvita. I don't care whatever thing that you
It's
people have
Miller
seen on
Bonita come
TV.
and sponsor.
No,
Yeah,
but
but
that's
like,
the
yeah,
truth.
yeah, true.
So
I will kind of like I need to kind of like steer us into like with this thing. But one thing that is very amazing about this conversation, and is also something like when you're thinking about branding or marketing, right? Is touch points. It's like, yeah, you said investing in game, right? Investing in network, and it's like the network is in some ways how do people meet you? What impression do you
do you
give when
give
people
them?
meet you? Where can people meet you? Number one, and what feeling or what impression do you give
Do
them
you leave?
when do you live with them when they get in contact with you or any of like the places you have set for them to like come in contact with you stuff, and it's kind of like touch points. So have very amazing touch points as a creative, because if people don't know you, then you're not making money, right?
They're not
So
making
so
money.
yeah. So what are the other things that we can invest?
So
What are the other
then
things that
then then finally we are looking at money.
yeah.
You see, I started with a name, I started with a network. Then I said, okay, by then you should have invested in yourself already. So that one is out
Yeah.
of it. You should be investing in yourself. It's a key point.
Yeah.
Now you then start investing in money. Now when you're investing in money, you're looking at businesses, you're looking at shares, you're looking at real estate, you're looking at a whole lot of things. Now I don't tell people invest here, invest here, invest here. What I tell them is go and do your research. If you have
Mm.
questions, come and ask me. I won't tell you where to invest in.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to do that on this show or on this live. Because
Okay.
me, I've mentioned a couple for myself. I do real estate, I do forex, I have products that I'm building. My products should be in the markets by this month ending or next month's beginning. It's a financial journal that can help people build their finances. Now it gives you a detailed explanation of every single thing and more I've talked about here. Not that doesn't deal with branding or marketing, that does with money specifically,
Yeah.
savings tracker, expenses tracker, and all of that. It's in publishing, and by this time next month, it should be hitting everywhere. So these are things I am investing in as a
Yeah.
person: real estate, forex, money markets, and a whole lot of other things. You need to sit down. Like the first time when people want to invest money, I tell them how much are you comfortable losing. That's the first question. That's the first question I ask them. If you're like, I don't even have money, talk lots of losing. It means that you've not started earning, and if you're earning,
Yeah.
you are not saving.
We are not saving. Yes. So
That's what
is
it
there is
means.
there is there a and I know you said that you're not necessarily going into like the weeds of giving this thing, but is
Investment
there
advice.
do you I'm not now telling you, I'm not about to ask you what should we invest in. I'm saying, do you have sort of like a formula, right? Maybe a general formula for saying, okay, um you earn so and so should go into savings, right? When you have gotten this amount of savings, so and so should go into like investments, right?
Okay.
Is
So,
there
so
sort of like
that's
a rule
that's
to that?
actually budgeting. That's actually budgeting. It's part of the
Okay.
journal too. There's something called budgeting principles, And
Yeah.
a budget is just a plan for your money. It's you telling your money where to go at every point in time. So one major budgeting plan is the 50/30/20 principle, which means 50% of
50,
your
30,
earnings,
20.
pretty simple. 50% of your earnings go into your
Everyday
God,
living
what's that word?
expenses.
No. Your essential expenses.
Yeah.
50% goes to your essential, 30% goes to your non-essential, then 20% goes to your savings. So what I do is essential expenses are those things you need to survive, your needs,
Yeah.
not your wants. Now at this point, 50% is your needs, 30% are your wants, 20% is is your saving. What I do is I flip the 20 for 30 because I cannot be spending 30% of my earnings on movies and ice
On
cream and Netflix
non-essential.
that are not making sense where I need to save. So that is how I have an edge over other people that actually use the 50/30/20 principle. Now, this is my personal hack. Now, 50% goes to things like my rent, my feeding, my car, my fueling, things that I actually need for basic living,
Flourishing. Yeah, living and yeah.
flourishing, all of that. The 30% is my savings. And you know how you save to a particular point, you split the money into three different parts. Like if I save for a year, I split the money into three different parts. This goes to my emergency. This will still remain as saving. I'm investing this part.
Okay. So how do you split them into like three equal parts? So how
No,
do
no,
we
no,
how do
no.
we
I I keep everything in a high yield savings account.
yeah,
High yield savings account are like accounts that give you a better percentages on your savings instead of keeping the
than
money
an
in your bank.
average, yeah.
Things like Piggyvest, Cowrywise, and Branch, they offer HYSs. You keep your money there, you get weekly, daily, you get weekly and daily returns on
Yeah.
particular percentage, maybe 0.001, 0.005, 0.1 or thereabout, depending on how long you want to keep them for and how much you have there. So these are where I have my money. At the end of the year, I bring out how much I have saved. Oh yeah, this one part will keep compounding you on the high yield savings account. This part you're going for my emergency funds. This part you're going to my investing, and I keep on saving. So one part of the saving is still left to keep on growing,
Yeah.
while two other parts are kept in different places for different uses. So mind you, my 20% for non-essential is still there, and I still keep it. So I believe I'm a very busy
You
person.
don't
It's
you
not
don't even
all the
have to you don't
I don't
have to
even
even
have
finish the
time.
20 piece
Exactly. So at the same point, it's non-essential, but it's in the high yield savings account and it's still generating more money. You're getting the idea, bar. So
yeah.
maybe I want to go for a conference. I need to travel to Abuja. I need to travel to Lagos. I need to travel somewhere. It is that non-essential I've been stacking up. I
Stacking up
take
that
pay for
now
my
goes
trips.
into
If it's
that,
not enough,
yeah.
if it's not enough for the flight, it should be enough for a bus trip.
Yeah.
I am not touching this other money. I'm not touching this other money. I take from there, pay for the courses, pay for the trip, pay for the hotel, go for the event, and come back home. And then we start afresh to building the
Yeah.
non-essential.
Another,
So,
yeah.
so instead of me packing, saying, I kept this money for non-essential, it means that I should go to the movies. I should, chill with the boys and all of that. No,
Yeah. It's
in as much as you
non-essential,
want
yeah.
to, it's non-essential. If you don't do it, you will not die. That's the honest
Yeah.
truth. Now, funny
And
enough,
then in the
what I
scope
do
of
is
building stuff, sorry, and in the scope of like as a creative wanting to build some financial stability, then you want to also, a lot of times you want to talk about, and this also happens in businesses, is that when you're talking about revenue and things like that, we like to talk about making more profit, growing that. But
all of
a
that.
less talked about side is reducing costs, right? And how that also goes on to affect your bottom line. So if you are a creative and let's say you want to do a concert and yes, you're saving 30%, but then you still have 20% that you do not need to spend on, then you can actually definitely add on that and you get to your goals faster. It makes your life a little more boring, so to speak, but in the idea and it's something you talked about in the beginning, right? Of going through the phases of understanding, or when you were investing for like short term, um, what's the word? Where we're doing short term investments, right?
Investing. Let me give one necessary hack about budgeting.
Yeah.
I need to lay this down very quick, and it's very, very important. If you want to budget, don't start immediately by budgeting. Just have a rough sketch of your budget and do what you want to do. But this is what you should do. Ba. Record every expenses you make. Give yourself a timeline. If you want to start from 1st of March to the 30th of March, give yourself 1st of March, 30th of March. Diligently record every one kobo you spend and what you spend it on. If you're done with that 30 days record, go through it and look at the things that you need to cut out from. If you're spending so much money on transport, you know that you need to find a better way to get to your office. If it means hitching rides, if it means doing like a corporate plan, maybe you buy a floor for someone going to that direction, they drop you off and pick you if that's more cheaper. You need to find because I know that boat is pretty expensive. One
Yeah.
trip can be like roughly 2 to 3K. Now imagine buying someone
Nothing.
fuel of
Yeah.
5K in a week and you're like, please, sir, if you're going to my office, I'll buy fuel of 5K this week. Just be dropping me at so and so place. If you're coming back home, call me. I'll come out and join you. Drop me back. I don't know if it makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Now, I feel that's much cheaper instead of paying 10,000 naira on boats in a week. So now, this man, you've paid him up from 5,000 naira. It might be in fuel. Now fuel is more like kind. You're not
Yeah.
actually paying directly, but you're like, so let me take care of your fuel. And you know, I feel at this point, 5K fuel is really something that you're doing for someone. So he's going to work. You're both going in the same direction. No, he's dropping you off. Sir, please, if you're done with work, just call me. I'll come out and wait for you. Now, these are just basic. I'm not saying you should actually beg, but if he has to get to this point of doing something like this, actually cut on expenses, I think it's okay. It's not you begging for a ride. So I bought you fuel, but please let me be joining you to work.
Yeah.
So you drop me off. So things like eating out. I know that last year when I looked at my expenses last year, I spent half of my earnings just eating out because I felt like money was coming. My investments were giving returns, so I was okay. But then again, looking at it on the long run, I spent so much eating out. This year, I told myself the eating out will be reduced by 80%. I am going to reduce it by 80%. In the sense that okay, like today, yesterday, I had to give someone money to go to the market and get me things. And everything I bought was like 5,000. So I tried to eat luxurious. I bought a full chicken. It was about 5,000. Everything I spent was 3,000. Then bought a full chicken of 5,000. That's like 8,000 naira. What I prepared can last me for this week and next week.
Yeah.
That's
But
8,000
you would
naira.
have spent
But then
that
again,
in one or two
no,
eating this thing.
thank you. I would have spent 3,000 eating out in the afternoon, then buy takeout for the night, which might be like 2,000. That's 5,000 one day. And the next day we do the same. Now imagine if I now go with someone now.
Yeah.
He's came money, he has money, he can. Now, so imagine if I now go with someone and I'm like, okay, just bring it for the both of us. It's no biggie. And I spent like 7,000. This is what I prepared. You know the funny part? I made food today. I made a vegetable rice and vegetable sauce. And my friends from church came over and we ate. And they ate to their fill. And they're like, and I sat down and told myself, if we ate
If
out, what we ate was like 3 5 a plate.
yeah.
Multiply it by 3. I shook my head, guy. So I don't know if you're getting me. So
Yeah.
recording your expenses shows you where your money is going to. It shows you loopholes. It shows you empty. It shows you holes where your money empties from.
Yeah.
You start filling them up. This
When you
one,
track
no,
them.
we'll not do this again. This one, we'll not do this one again. This one, cancel as from now on, no more. You do the one for the following month. You still follow it diligently. You still write down record every expenses. You see that you've reduced everything by roughly 30 to 40%.
Yeah.
The following month, you do again. You still bring back that report. What do I need to cancel in this month? This one, you're going off. This one, you're going off. Mind you, you canceled about 30, 40% last month. You cancel like 20
Yeah.
more this month again. That's you've downsized by 60%. This means that you've been throwing away 60% of your income without you even knowing. Only if you're getting me. Now, by the third month, you're seeing that you now have, you're not telling yourself, we are out of the whole, maybe you must have done like 70%. You know, take 10% for contingency, and
Yeah.
this 60% should be diverted somewhere else
True.
and live your normal life. So this is how you actually make an actual real budget that you can work with. You don't just wake up and make a budget. No, you wake up, do your rough budget and do what you want to do,
Okay.
and
And
then
then
start canceling out
okay, on.
expenses one by one.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. This kind of like time that we have. This, you know, I pity people that did not stay to the end because a lot of gems were dropped. No, no, no. Truthfully, right? Handling money is an important skill we all need to have. At the end of the day, we all want to make more money, but if you are making more money and throwing everything away, it's almost as useless as not as it being in the same place as not having enough money. So thank you very much for giving us smart tips on money, on handling
We can
money
have a
as
part two
creative.
tomorrow if you don't mind, because I have like so much to talk about. We can have part
We
two
could,
tomorrow.
you know what, we could actually set up something like a more of
We can
like
go
a
live
live, maybe
tomorrow if you don't mind.
an IG live, and
We
then
can go
work
live
that
tomorrow.
through. Although that will have to be like at another time because tomorrow, like all these pre-recordings, so this one is strictly for you. So all these pre-recordings are being lined up from tomorrow up until Friday.
Okay.
So but we can definitely have, maybe a space on like maybe budgeting or something more specifically tied, maybe a Twitter space or like an IG live or something like that. That'd be fantastic. So
Definitely.
it's 1 minute to the time. Thank you very much, Godfrey
Thank you so
K
much, my son.
Money, for being part of
I feel
this.
you enjoy this more than the people that will listen to it.
No, it was engaging, and I feel like as creatives we don't talk a lot about. So that and you also need money to be a good creative. Let nobody deceive you. So this was very
Yes.
essential. This is very essential. So thank you very much. I know that you have a lot of time, or time is short, and you have a lot of things that you need to go on and do. But your time has been precious to us. And
Thank you
yeah,
so much, my
before you go,
son.
I know you have shipped some of your products already, but tell our audience where to come check you on. We'll drop everything in the comments, but
Okay.
tell us the more exciting stuff, interesting stuff you're working on, and where to find you, and all those good stuff, and then
Okay,
we'll
so
close up.
I'm actually funny enough. I'm actually working on a personal finance festival where we get to discuss money, discuss budgeting like live. We sit with people and you ask money questions and we actually respond and give you the best money insights we can get. And it's going to be for free. We're doing it in Abia next month on no, in March on my birthday. After that, we'll be going to Port Harcourt. After Port Harcourt, we'll come down to Lagos. So you guys, Lagos, please be ready. After Lagos, we're shifting to Abeokuta, then we'll do Abuja and Kaduna. So it's more like we're going around this year. We want young people because we are hoping that Peter Obi becomes president. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the prayer. But Peter Obi becoming president means that he needs the economy to work. And him
yeah,
getting the economy to work is starting from the grassroots, and he cannot do that alone. So it's
yeah. We
all of
have
us
to have
collective
the
efforts.
sounds.
We have
Yes.
to have the sound financial mental acuity, particularly support him in building the economy back. And if the youths don't have that intelligence, it means that the fight will be tough.
Which
So
which
all we're
reminds
trying
me,
to
sorry. If you're in the audience, drop what state you are in so that K Money knows. And if it skips your state or wherever, you can also maybe plan that into the listing. But that's an aside. Please continue.
that's just it for boardroom. Then the personal finance journal will be out by next month also. So it's fingers crossed. These are the two things I'm working on, and they are giving me sleepless night. I will not lie.
We're looking forward to it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so
And
much,
to
my
our
son.
audience, our amazing audience, thank you for staying through this period of time. I'm sure you got a lot. Ask questions in the comments and everything. We will scoop them up and translate them to some other place where they'll be answered. And thank you for your time. Good day, good afternoon, good night, depending on where and what time you're watching it. I remain Mr. This remains Canvas.